In this video, we are looking at the third branch, and that is the Judicial Branch. The building associated with the Judicial Branch is the Supreme Court building in Washington, D.C. When you think of judicial, think of judge, deciding court cases, judgments. Those are the job of the Judicial Branch. That is the job of the Judicial Branch. The members of the Supreme Court, there are 9 Supreme Court justices, and we call them justices, not judges. We do capitalize that. These folks are appointed for life. So these are lifelong appointments. Once a person is seated on the Supreme Court, it is a lifelong job. The person either passes away or retires, but it is for life. So the process is the president names an appointment, suggests a name. Congress, legislature passes that recommendation, and then that person is seated for a lifetime. This is the only branch of government that we the people do not vote on. These folks are appointed by our representatives. We vote for our representatives and they make the call. Other federal courts are also included in this branch. Each state has federal courts operating within the state, but they are controlled by federal law. Okay, the duties of the Supreme Court. Let's see, I see 4. I'm looking at my notes, hoping that I have them all. Let's do 4, and we'll start with the big one. This branch can declare laws unconstitutional. So let's suppose that the Congress passes a law. The president names the law. Congress passes it. Supreme Court says that doesn't follow the Constitution. So that law is null and void. If it doesn't follow the Constitution, it cannot be used in this country. The Supreme Court settles disputes. They are the highest court in the land. Even the federal courts in the states are higher than the states. They settle disputes in lower courts. When I was a little girl, there was a case here in Blount County of a couple who had frozen some embryos so that they could use them later on to have children. And the couple got divorced, and so they were arguing over what should happen to those frozen embryos. And I remember the case here locally, it was not decided here locally. It went on to the highest court in the land. Roe versus Wade, the abortion law, is a Supreme Court issue. So we're talking about very, very serious issues that Americans are deeply divided on. Gay marriage is another one that has been before the Supreme Court. So these are not just, I got a traffic ticket and I don't think that I should have gotten one. These are extremely important issues that divide the whole nation sometimes. The Supreme Court has the right to refuse to hear a case. If a case goes to them and they think that they don't want to get involved, they can refuse that. They settle disputes between states. So let's just add that one If Tennessee and Alabama are into a dispute, the Supreme Court may be called in to settle that dispute between two of the 50 states. And then the last thing, there is a Chief Justice. At the moment, his name is John Roberts. The Chief Justice presides or oversees, let's use oversees, an impeachment trial. And we saw that happen just a few weeks ago. Justice Roberts was at the Senate building when the trial was going on. Remember, the House of Representatives passed impeachment articles for Trump. The Senate had to decide guilty or not guilty, and Chief Justice Roberts oversaw that trial. So that is another major duty of the Supreme Court. Okay, checks and balances. The judicial branch checks on the president, make sure that his laws are constitutional, and also the legislature. But in turn, the president and Congress are watching the Supreme Court. Supreme Court justices can be impeached if they break the law. I don't think that's ever happened, but it is possible if they are obviously in contradiction to the law. So the president and the Congress keep an eye on the judicial branch as well. When you put this file together, let's go ahead and take it to the workbook. And I do want to give you one more little bit of information for each of your three branches. So this is page 73 in the workbook. I'm going to put this file right in there. So right under my legislative is on top. It really doesn't matter. If you want to put your reverse those, that's fine. But I want to give you just a main idea point here for each of these, just a short little phrase to help you remember what these folks do. And everything centers around the law, the Constitution. The three branches are about law. The legislative branch, that's the bicameral legislature, makes laws. That is their primary function in 2 words. So if someone asks you what is the purpose of the legislative branch, they make laws. The judicial branch interprets the law. So they decide if the laws are constitutional. And then the executive branch enforces the law, carries out the law. So these 3 branches are working together to make sure that we in America are following the Constitution. We are going to look at checks and balances. That's going to be in the next video. And this is page 75. So I'm going to stop this video and I'll see you for the next one.